to start off, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I'm really not sure from which zones we all have gathered today, but I really thank you for being a part of our presentation and welcome you all for our first Azure DevOps webinar for this year, 2019. My name is Mithila Urs. I'm associated with Fortira Canarys for last 10+ years and currently supporting as director in business communications, IT, digital marketing division. And we have a whole lot of team that I'm going to introduce shortly. It gives me pleasure to introduce our company, Fortira and Canarys, which has been in business successfully for a little over 20+ years and has good standing in industry and gained recognition and reputation for its credentials, services in IT technology world. We, Fortira, we are based here in Princeton, New Jersey, United States, and we do business as Canarys in Bangalore, India. And Canarys, which is based in Bangalore, India, does business as Fortira in United States. So, as you all know, today we have gathered, into this webinar where we will be talking about end-to-end scope and objectives of Azure DevOps. And also today with us we have Sheshadri Srinivas, our director at Canarys, leading us as our IT professional services leader. Nagaraj Bairaji, our head of DevOps division. Hoysala and Shashank, our DevOps technical evangelists. Shashank will be leading us today on our webinar session on the topic as a subject matter expert. And end of the session, we will open the line for question and answers. Now, talking a little bit about our company and our services and credentials before we get on to DevOps side of talk. We have expertise, in supporting various domains as shown here, such as IT infrastructure, financial, banking, pharmaceutical, life science vertical, insurance, and healthcare domains. We are also in the process of expanding our domains in various other sectors, hoping it will all come through in the near future. Now, coming on to the labor categories or the skills that we cover, we pretty much cover every skill, every level, whether it's intermediate, advanced, or subject matter expertise. It could be a particular skill or combination of skills under any labor category per se and domain, and we cover all locations in the United States, and we also support projects offshore basis as well. Basically, we have the capability to meet the need as per the client dictate or requirement. Now, coming to the type of projects or the services we provide, we support project-based, which could be statement of work, product-based, or simple staff augmentation, or it could be even MSP, VMS-based assignments from our direct clients. As you know, MSP is the managed services provider, and VMS is the vendor management systems, which simply acts as the tool between the client and the vendors or suppliers or preferred or primary supporters to fulfill the need with a process in place. Now, lastly, from my end, I'd like to say that what you see on the screen is what really we follow. Commitment, diversity, collaboration, consistency, and getting results is our priority, and we have actually successfully achieved our goals so far with pretty much, I'm very proud to say, with all of our clientele, and we have had clients come back, referrers to many more of their network, and we have even the consultants who given us good referrals and wanting to come back and work with us. And I'm kind of saying this loud and clear because that makes us a good standing company. And having said this and making my speech short, I would now like to have my team member Shashank to take over our webinar.
Thanks, Mithila. Thanks for the introduction. Uh, just share the screen. I hope my audio is great, like you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. All right. So, as you all know, the today's topic is on the DevOps technology and the overview of Microsoft Azure DevOps and the services what we provide. Just to brief you on a holistic way, what are the services we provide, just like the Mithila was mentioning about the services we offer. So we also do Azure DevOps consulting, which was formerly known as VSTS. Then we also provide consulting on Microsoft Dynamics. We also develop in-house mobile application development team is available where we provide solutions on mobile applications and including the Azure services and the consulting services on other platforms as well. So today's agenda will be more on the overview of DevOps. So let's understand what is DevOps as a concept, and we'll see how Microsoft will talk about the DevOps technology, the service which they have introduced, which is called as Azure DevOps. We'll have a look and feel of the Azure DevOps. Then followed by, we have a demonstration on the same Azure DevOps services to see end-to-end demonstration. And followed by, we have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, please park it till the end of the session, or you can also put it on the chat window so that we will answer at the end. So to start with my conversation, this is the quote which I'm going to use, like any developer, any app, any platform. So when we talk about any developer, any app, any platform, most of the guys, they think that, okay, when we talk about Microsoft technology and when we pitch in for Azure DevOps, it will be more of a Microsoft stack. So the first mindset is Azure DevOps is not only meant for Microsoft platform, even though if they are in any other platform, any other apps, just like they may be a Java developer, PHP developer, Python developer, using Linux or Mac OS and running on Tomcat server or any kind of an application, we do support. Just to brief on that, we have an permutation and combination where we use the different set of IDE and the languages and the respective platform. Like you can see here, the Visual Studio, where we can write an ASP.NET or .NET Core application and which can be hosted on Azure as a web app, like an app service. Similarly, we have Visual Studio Code, which is a cross-platform developer tool where we can do the development on, let's say, Node.js application, which can also be hosted on Azure Web App. Similarly, there is a dedicated Visual Studio IDE for the Mac user where they can use Visual Studio Mac. Maybe they're using C# as a language to develop an iOS device or deploy it on an iOS device. Like when we talk about mobile application, we can also write that using C#. As a Xamarin is supported within Visual Studio. You know, that's a cross-platform mobile application development. So let's talk about what is DevOps first. Irrespective of whether it is Microsoft or any other vendor, DevOps derives as a concept or as a mindset. So according to Microsoft, what we define DevOps is the union of people, process, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to your end user. When we talk about DevOps, it's a combination of all these three. It is not alone a process. It's not a tool set or a product alone. So this is a combination of the people who follow the processes by adopting the right tool sets. And when we talk about DevOps, it is not only between the development team and the operations team, but it is more beyond that, where it starts from the planning, then development, tracking, build, test, deploy. At last, we'll be monitoring the application. how Microsoft can help you here. So Microsoft provides you this DevOps, to provide this DevOps solution. We have, like Microsoft services, which say it's highly flexible, more powerful, and it is open to any stack. When I talk about flexibility, we can go and deploy our application on a choice of, it can be infrastructure as a service, or it can be a platform as a service, or it can be any public cloud, or it can be hybrid. So my application can deploy on-premises server as well as on cloud. I can also have this configuration. So that is the level of flexibility which Microsoft provides you in deploying your application. It's highly powerful. When we talk about powerful, it's like you can instantly go and set up all the infrastructure or the resources on Azure with a click of a button. And we also support any platform. We say that you bring your own stack. It can be your Java, PHP, Python, running on Linux, or any platform for that matter. We provide you all the services from the cloud. So that is how Microsoft can help you in deriving the DevOps technology. So what are the technologies do I need to support DevOps? So the main functionality would be continuous integration, continuous deployment, and we have continuous learning and monitoring. So we have the tool sets within the Azure where we talk about the SaaS, like a software as a service, which is Azure Devops, will provide you to compile your code with an automated build process and automated deployment process with approval process. And then we have the monitoring set, where you can also monitor your application. So to talk about DevOps, Microsoft introduced Azure Devops, the formerly which is known as Visual Studio Team Services, or VSTS. If you can look at the screen where we have Azure Boards, Azure Repo, Azure Pipeline, Test Plan, and Artifact. So this derives the entire structure where the planning and tracking can be done through Azure Boards. The Azure Repo derives more on the version controlling of your source code, or it can be your project artifact. The pipeline derives, you can go and compile your application, test your application, and deploy into your specific environments. We have Azure Test Plan, which will be more for the manual tester, where they can test the application. And we have Azure Artifacts, which is nothing but a package management for your development team that can be utilized during your CI/CD pipeline as well. So quick overview about the boards, which derives to the planning phase, where you have the Kanban board facility, where you can manage your requirement and its status, and you have a good traceability between your requirement till it go to the deployment phase. Azure Repo deal with most of your version controlling functionality, where you can go and create branching, merging, where you can also do a pull request, which will be done through the, you can also do a code review, so that the code will be reviewed by your peer developer, and once upon their approval, it gets merged to your master branch. Azure Pipeline, as I mentioned, you can also compile any language. It can be Node.js, Python, Java, Ruby, and which can run parallelly on Linux, Mac OS, or Windows, and you want to deploy it on any of your choice. It can be Azure, AWS, or any on-premises server. You can easily set up your pipeline and deploy the application. Azure Test Plan is more of your manual testing, where you can plan your test cases, and you can execute your test cases, get the outcome of the test cases. Everything can be planned, and it also provides out-of-the-box charts as well. Azure Artifact, as I mentioned, you can also go and create your packages, and that can be shared as a feed to your entire team. So we can also, for example, the customer who are using TFS, is an on-premises version of the DevOps, and if they want to migrate their on-premise data to an Azure DevOps, so we will also help you in migrating your on-premises data to Azure DevOps, which is migration from TFS to Azure DevOps, which has a better benefits when you go into the Azure DevOps. We can also provide you the assistance and support in getting your on-premises data into Azure DevOps. So here is a couple of case studies which I have handpicked, and this is like who are using Azure DevOps. And the best thing about Azure DevOps is it provides support for, even though it is a small team to a largest enterprise, even it supports the entire platform. All right, so let us see the DevOps in action. We'll jump into the demonstration. All right, so right now I'm at the Azure DevOps website where you can start for free. For the first 5 basic users, you can start your DevOps project with free of cost, and thereafter you can get started. Like, you need not to invest your time in setting up your server, not at all required. It's a SaaS model, as I said. You can get started as soon as you create your Azure DevOps organization. So right now I'm taking an example of one of my Azure DevOps organization. The name is DevOps at Microsoft. And you can see I have multiple team projects under this particular organization. You can manage multiple team projects. So for today's demo, what I'll be using is Parts Unlimited is one of the project. To give you a fair idea about this Parts Unlimited project, it is a shopping cart automobile part where you can purchase online. So if I just browse to my Parts Unlimited application, you see this is my website for my Parts Unlimited, and the entire project source code, the requirement, the build pipeline, everything is managed in my project in Azure DevOps. So this is the website where we have where you can go and buy like tires, alloy wheels, battery, oil, so all these things which you can go and purchase online. Okay, so let me come back to my project where you can, this is the summary page of my project where you can manage and have a look at the project stats, how many work items were created recently and how many work items completed. All the information you can go and provide out here. And you can also mention about your project, what is this project is all about and the goal to achieve. We also have the dashboard where you can monitor your project status, like for a project manager or for a business analyst or the developer lead. So they can start monitoring their project and their requirement, everything on the dashboard. They have the Epic product backlog item feature. So these are the different level of hierarchy in the requirements. So Epic is being the high level, then followed by a feature, and then followed by your product backlog item. I'm using Scrum as a template. That's the reason I'm using the word product backlog item. And again, there are process template, different process template, which we follow within Azure DevOps. One is Agile, Scrum, and CMMI. And you can also have a look at your website. You can also go and configure. These are all pretty much configurable, and it's all based on the widgets. You also have the sprint cycle to manage. I have the sprint cycle is nothing but the deliverables for your requirements. We have between March 1st to March 14th. And you can see here there's 2 days remaining, like today and tomorrow. We have the test results, the velocity graph, the burn down chart, all the information you can go and get it out of the box in your dashboard. You can see my deployment status and the work item charts you can configure. All right, so let me jump into the work item side where we start doing the planning. So if you look at the icon on the left, we have Azure boards, we have repos, we have pipeline, we have test plan, and the artifact. So these are the different, like aspects of managing your entire application lifecycle. So the planning can be done through your boards, or we call it as backlog here. So we have an Epic. Epic is nothing but the high level requirement. So for example, you can think here like I have multiple requirements which is pretty high level. Like we are defining, one of the example is the shopping cart facility or the payment. When we divide that, it is also having multiple features in it. So in order to complete one epic, I need to complete the corresponding features. In order to complete the shopping cart facility, I also have other features out there. Similarly, if I start expanding, I also have multiple product backlog items to cover. So for example, a shopping cart facility is in my epic, and I have the subsequent feature shipping charge calculation, and its subsequent child item is a product backlog item. So I'm just dividing my high level requirement into the sub level. So as a customer, I should be able to select different shipping options. So we have different logics out here. Similarly, you can see here we have promotion and rewards as an epic, product backlog, product offers and discounts as a feature. Then we have a product backlog item where we are implementing the discount logic for the products in my Parts Unlimited website. And we also have the task underlying that. So the task is the actual work which will be assigned to the developer, and the development activity will kickstart on the task level. And we also have different level of hierarchy at the backlog level, where we have features, then it's subdivided into the backlog item. And we also have the boards concept, where we can also manage our Kanban board, where we can drag and drop and update the task. It's like you can think about the sticky notes. In a similar way, we also have it. It's all in the touch-based screen. So if you have a touch screen, you can literally drag and drop the task and update the work items. So let's take a scenario where I want to implement some discount logic for this month on alloy wheels. So what I can do is I can go and create a task. I say that introduce discount logic of 25% on alloy wheels. Okay, so I'll mention it might take some 5 hours of work, and I can also define it has to go to my current sprint, which is like right now I want to do it for the demonstration, so I'm moving it to the current sprint, but ideally it has to move to the future sprints whenever there's a new requirement comes in. So I'll save. So whenever we save any of the work item, so task is also considered one of the work item, we get a work item ID like 4626 is one of the unique work item ID within this organization, Azure Devops organization. And you can also see the link type here. We also have the linkage, and currently I'm not sure to whom it should be assigned, so I'll just keep it blank as an assign to field. And you can also see the status is to do. That means it is just now which is started. Okay, so this is on high priority. What I can do, I can just drag and drop up the ladder, like you can easily manage. It's all like ease up work. And currently what we define is, right now I want to move it to the current sprint. What I have to do is I can just plan my activity, and which is the current sprint. I can easily drag and drop the task into my current sprint. Okay. So now if I just go back to my sprint cycle is nothing but, as I said, that's the deliverable cycle, the time frame where you want to deliver your requirements. So if I look at the picture, I have my task available on the sprint 11, which is between March 1st to March 14th, and it is 2 working days is remaining. And I would see that before getting started with my work, I need to see my capacity of my team members. So in my project, we have 3 members, and including me, like I'm one of the developer, and we have a requirement activity will be handled by Hoysala and Shiv Sagar testing team. So they are working for 4 hours per day. This is the capacity planning which I can manage from my team. They have 4 hours working into 2 days is like 8 hours in this particular sprint. So looking at their capacity planning, we can also manage them. And if they want to plan for any day off, even that can also be planned well in advance. So right now, I want to start assign a work to for myself, because I look myself as not so occupied. So what I can do, I can just drag and drop the task and assign to myself. You can see here it has been updated with my task. So 7 hours of work is still pending. So right now you think that, okay, the work has been assigned, and as a developer, what I will be doing. So the first thing which I'll do is I just go to my IDE. Since it's a .NET application, ASP.NET application, I'm using my Visual Studio 2017 Enterprise here. So I have already connected to my project. You can observe the URL. It's like Part Unlimited. And I've already loaded my solution. And it is the best practice to start any of your work by creating your own branch, because right now I'm using a Git branch or Git as a repository. By default, Azure Devops supports two types of repository. So that is, one is Git and another one is the TFVC, called as Team Foundation Version Control. And for today's demo, I'm using Git repository within my Azure DevOps. You can see this is my source code, which is on the master branch. I have all my source code residing, and I can also see all the commits happening, the comment, the history, who have modified, when they have modified, all the information. I can go and track it out here. So I've already connected to my Visual Studio, and I want to do the changes out here. So what I will be doing is I want to start modifying based on the requirement. So I've been assigned with a task 4626, where I need to introduce the discount logic for my alloy wheels. So the first thing, when I want to start working, I'll just go and create a branch, because it makes sense. Like, nobody will be working directly on the master branch. So I need to create the dev branch. Let's say I'll name it as shush-dev. I'll say create branch. So I have created a branch under the folder under the folder shush. So because I don't want to mess with my colleague's code, I'm just taking a branch to complete this particular work. And you see here, I've already connected to my repository, and which is been pulled from my master branch. And right now, what I'll do is I'll load my solution. All right, it's already available, and I want to do the modification. So if I just go into your application, and if I just look into my application, so I don't have any discounts as of now for alloy wheels. It looks only for oil and filter. So if I want to go and purchase any of my alloy wheels, I should get some discount. So that's what the main idea out here of the requirement. Now once I check out, so okay, let me log in to the application. All right, so like once I provide my shipping option, and once I move to the payment order, I should get the discount logic implemented out here. So the same scenario I'm taking out here. So I'll just go to my Visual Studio and start modifying on the address and payment page. So to just save some time, I've just already created. I'll just comment them and do the small modification. So I've already said that, okay, we are running a promotion, and so alloy wheel discount like 25%, I can say, with the promo code free. So I'll say free 25. So this is the promo code which I'm including to get discount for my alloy wheels. Save this, and I want to update the same thing on my index page as well. So I'll just come and modify the page. I'll set that 25%. Okay. So now just save this, and you see here by default my Visual Studio have detected those two changes from the repository. One is on the address and payment page, and another on the index page. So what I will be doing is I'll just say that updated the discount logic, and since it's a distributed version control system, there will be two repositories. One is the local and the remote. So the best thing we have to do is first the commit all. So that will be committed to your local first, and now I need to push. So the push is nothing but the changes whatever you have modified locally, that will be pushed to the remote branch. So now you see here, successfully pushed branches-dev to origin, and it is asking me to create a pull request to review my changes. So I can always go and, it's the best practices to follow, where I go and request, I'll do a pull request so that my peer will review the code, and then if there are any changes need to be done, they'll suggest me. So let me just go to my repo now, just refresh the page, and currently I'm in master branch. Let me change to the dev branch. So when you change it to the dev branch, you can see here, you have updated the dev branch just now, and it is asking me to create a pull request. So the pull request is must, like nobody should, as I said, nobody should directly modify on the master branch, and nobody should disturb the master branch. Hence, this is the good practices to follow. And we also have set off, like the branch policy has been set for the master branch. So before any changes you need to commit or merge to the master branch, you always have to follow this process. So right now what I'm doing is, I'm just creating the updated discount logic. You can say for alloy wheels, and I can say that I can also set an approver. So for example, for this demo, I'll be setting myself as a reviewer. Eventually, like the realistic scenario would be, you need not to assign yourself. It has to be your peer developer or the senior folk will be responsible for managing. And I also would like to associate my work item, whatever the changes or modification I've done at the source code, I also need to associate along with my task work item. So you can see these are the changes which I have done to my source code, and I have my reviewer also set and the work item. I'll just go and create a pull request. So now you see the pull request 33 has been created and it's active state. And if you look at the right hand side, we have the branch policy, which has been set as the reviewer. There's a reviewer is required, like one reviewer, at least one of the reviewer has to be approved. So there's none of them have approved. So that's why it is saying it's not been satisfied. And the work item linkage is already done. That's why it's been passed. And work item linkage is already available. And reviewer also, you have it right now. So now, if there are any changes need to be done, you can always go to the files and see it in the comparison window. And if you want to put some comment, you can always go and comment the comment and say that, okay, if any changes has to be done. So you can say that looks good. Okay. And I can always mention somebody, or you want to insert any kind of a file, I can always do that. I'll also say mention the work item as well, the 4626. I can do that. So now, once I come back to my updates, I can also see if there are any changes has to be done, or if there are any conflicts which I need to resolve. Even I can also come to my conflict window and I can see if there are any conflicts. Like whenever there's a mismatch in the version of your source code, even that can also be managed in the conflict window. Okay, so it looks like there are no conflicts right now. So let me come back to my overview, and let's assume that everything working fine and everything goes. Now I'll go and complete. So while completing my pull request, what I can do is I can say the complete link work item after merging, and delete the dev branch if I don't want after merging. I can also, it's all optional. Like whenever the linking work item, the 4626 item will automatically convert into completed state, and the dev branch can also be deleted. So I don't want to delete the branch as of now, so I'll just uncheck that box and I'll complete my merge. So if you look at the stitch here, as soon as I say, so it's already been completed. So as soon as it gets completed, now the changes have been merged to my master branch. And I also have a continuous integration in pipeline which has been configured, so it has triggered my build immediately. So I'll talk about the continuous integration in a while. So if you look at the picture here, merge PR33 updated discount logic for alloy wheel has been triggered. If I just go inside that build definition, the summary, you can look at this page. We have different tasks specified in my pipeline. So NuGet restore, build solution, test assembly. So like if there are any unit test cases which will be run as part of my build. So if you have any questions, please wait till the end of the session. Like we also have a Q&A session at the end. So you can just post your questions on the chat window. We'll be answering shortly. Okay, so in the meantime, it gets it's running. We'll just check the build definition and the pipeline to set up. So when you want to create a new build pipeline, so it provides you with a visual designer as well, where you can configure in terms of your repository to choose. It supports different templates as well. You can say that, okay, it's in ASP.NET. You can also choose out of the box. And by default, the tool will help you in setting up all the tasks for you, just like NuGet packages. If there's any dependency with your NuGet packages, compilation, test assembly, everything will be taken care. And you also set variables where if you want to define, like for example, in which configuration it has to run, in which platform it has to compile, all this information. So the interesting point is the trigger type, where you are setting it as continuous integration. So you saw that as soon as the merge happened to the master branch, immediately my build has triggered because I have enabled the continuous integration in my existing build definition. Similarly, you can also go and schedule your build based on your time frame and the days. And you also have the completion. For example, if there are any dependency between your multiple build definition, even that can also be handled in the build completion state. So like dependency, one after the other, it has to trigger the build. You also have the options, retention, like you can also retain your outcomes and the history to manage. So let me just go back. I'll not save this because I already have the build definition created. So if I just go and edit my existing build definition, you can see the similar structure out here. I have a NuGet restore, a build solution, and it's going to use my unit testing if there are any unit tests to be run as part of my build, and it's going to copy the artifacts into my staging directory, and if there are any NuGet push has to be done, and like it's going to publish the artifact into a drop location within Azure pipeline as a artifact publish location. And I'm not passing any other variables. And trigger type, as I said, I have set it to master branch, enable continuous integration, and it also has the build number format and everything, so retention days and the history. So once if I just go to the summary, I can see my build has succeeded, and it has a timestamp like today's date, month and year, and for the third time it's been running. So if I just go inside the summary, I can see all the states. For example, I want to see the history and the execution log file, everything I can notice here. And the test case results, even I can also go and see, okay, how many test cases passed, failed, all this information. And you can see here there's a drop location has been configured with the artifacts which has been published. And right now it's an ASP.NET web application. I'm marking it as a zip format so that I can utilize the same zip format for the deployment to my app services, which is hosted on Azure service. And you can observe here we have the deployment, and that has already been kicked off because I also have a continuous deployment in place which is configured already. That's why it is asking me to approval, because it's waiting for my approval to deploy into my dev environment. So by default, you can see here I have my release definition, and I have the multiple releases happened previously, and the current release is waiting for my approval. Because for the demo purpose, I have just added myself as the approver for pre-deployment. So you can see here it is waiting for my approval. So I'll just go and say approve, or you can also defer the deployment for a later point in time. So now the dev environment will kick off, and it also has the set of tasks which has been defined. So in the meantime, let me just log into my dev site. I've just used the slot mechanism in my Azure App Service, by which I have configured. One is dev. You can see here we have differentiated with the tag like -dev. We have staging, nothing but my QA, and my pre-prod, which is an actual. So right now I have defined with like parts unlimited. PUL stands for parts unlimited. E2E is end-to-end. 06 is like timestamp, which I have defined when I created this application, and which is hosted on Azure website. Even if you would like, this is hosted on publicly. Even if you would like to see the website live, you can also log into this particular website. This is the dev, QA, and pre-production. So if I just come back, you can see here my dev site is already been succeeded. Let me just put a quick refresh on that. And in the meantime, let me explain you the concept here. I have configured 3 stages sequentially, where I have my dev stage, my QA, and my pre-prod. You can see here my dev has already been succeeded, and for the QA to deploy, it is waiting for the approval because I have the pre-deployment condition enabled. If I just go inside, you can see I have the list of tasks, just like your CI, the continuous integration. We also have the similar configuration has to be set up for your release pipeline. We have different tasks which has been scheduled. Okay, so let's quickly look into the dev side whether the new changes is reflecting in this page. Yes, you can see here I have changed from 10% discount for oil and filter to alloy wheels and providing 25% discount. And I would like to look into my alloy wheels. I want to go and purchase, and I want to see the changes which is reflecting. Let's say add to cart. All right, I would like to check out the page. All right, let me log in. Because before moving into the next, next environment, it has to verify. You see here, I have the payment gateway. At the address and payment gateway, I have enabled the promo code. If I just go and fill in all the shipping information along with the promo code as free 25, I will get some 25% discount on the alloy wheel which I have selected right now. Okay, the same way, if I just go and search or refresh my QA environment or the staging environment, the changes is still not reflecting because it's not been moved to the next environment. You can see here it is waiting for my approval. Again, this will be a QA manager who will be responsible for managing the approval side. So right now what I'll do, I'll just go and say that it's good to go because I've verified in my dev environment everything working fine. I've enabled, I've approved it. So right now the QA environment is kickstart, it says in progress state now. It is initializing the agent. I'm using a hosted agent which is by default provided by Azure Devops, and it has all the steps to perform. Okay. So once after it gets executed, or once the deployment completes the QA, you can see the changes reflecting on the QA environment or the QA website as well. So in the meantime, it gets happening. So I'll just go and show you the app service which I have hosted in my Azure subscription. So I'm just logging into my portal.azure.com. Let me just go to my app services and the PUL E2E. So if I just go to my deployment slot, I can see I have 3 slots defined. One is with the dev, staging, and the prod, or I can start as a pre-prod right now. So you can observe here the slot, the usage of the slot is like I can easily swap between my environment if I want to, like you get an extra option where you can go and swap the content between your app services. Okay, so let me just cross check. Okay, so now the QA is also succeeded. Let me just go and refresh my QA environment, QA website. and it also has triggered for the next level, because where I have not configured any deployment process here or the pre-deployment condition, it has immediately triggered for a pre-prod environment, just for, because even you can also have a control over your deployment cycle, or you can also automatically deploy into any environment sequentially, or if you want it to be on the parallel segment, even you can also go and configure them. Okay, so just to summarize, like where we started from the requirement, from the planning phase, where we had the task defined and assigned to a developer. Developer started working on this source code from his own IDE, and if he's a Java developer, he can always use Eclipse IDE for his matter. And immediately, as soon as we started creating the new branches and the pull request, once it gets merged, immediately my build has kicked off. And once the build succeeded, my deployment has been triggered, where it deployed into my dev and followed by to the QA. So if I just go and see my QA website, so let me just go and see the changes. Add to cart. Okay, so the QA site also has the changes which has been defined right now. Okay, so I'll just jump into the chat window where we're getting a lot of questions, it seems. So let's have a look at it and try to answer it earliest. Okay, so let me just pick it from the top to bottom approach. Okay, so let me just scroll down. Sorry for the inconvenience caused on the audio bridge. All right, so we have a question. Can we have multiple current sprints, by Praveen? So the question is, can we have multiple current sprints? We may not be having, I mean, that's not an ideal scenario to have multiple current sprints. So what you can do is, it's better to have one set of, you can specify with a date, because the sprints will be taken care by your dates. You can configure, for example, in my current scenario, you saw that it was between, for a 3-week sprint from March 1st to March 14th. So where you can define, it allow you to create the sprints, and that is based on the current sprint tag, what it calculates on your current date. Okay, so you can, that's an ideal scenario, not to have multiple current sprints, but yes, you can. So one other question is, while building the .NET application, auto transforms the connection string, all right, of a web config. What is the reason behind that? So it's a question from Naitani. So I think, let me understand the question in a way, like you're talking about the web transformation or the web.config transformation. Yes, you can achieve it for the .NET application, let's say, through the pipelines itself. During your execution, you can go and configure the, like let's say we talk about the replace tokens, where you might be using a different connection string for your different environments. It can be dev, it can be using different database, and for your UAT or QA, you may be using different database, and you want to change the configuration or the connection string. And in that case, you will be using this, like the replace tokens, where you can also change your web config files and can update based on the environment. So that will be more used at the deployment side, but you can configure, you can set up all this information at the build side. Okay, so Akash have a question. What if I want to purchase more than 5 basic users? So if you want, as I said, the first 5 basic users are free. If you want to go beyond 5th user, you have to purchase the basic license, which is like it costs you like around $6 per user after the 5 basic user. Or you can also have an MSTN subscription. you can purchase an MS Team subscription so that you will be entitled to use your Azure DevOps free of cost. Okay, so there's another question. Can we have multiple burn down charts in one sprint? Like one is for development team and another is for testing team. I don't think so. Like you can have multiple burn down charts as such. So since it will be tied up with your sprint cycle, so it will be like one sprint, one burn down chart, irrespective of whether you're using for development team or the testing team. So you need to have, because the burn down chart is not bound to your teams. Instead, it is bound to your the sprint cycle. All right. So okay. So Nightly have like you want to see that configuration. So I'll just showcase you on that. So there's another question. Does the pipeline support the code rollback? So the pipeline will support you in terms of your deployment rollback, not the code rollback as such, but the code rollback can be done at your repository level itself. And Akash have another question, how patching is done on app services. So maybe if you can be a little more specific on what is patching according to you for an app service, so that I can address that. So in the meantime, let me just showcase you on the web.config transformation. So at the pipelines, so you can also use the extension which is, you know, like the replace tokens. So earlier we used to use the transformation like web.config transformation file, or if you want to transform into an XML transformation or out of the box which is available. So this is the extension you need to use, or the task you need to define. If you don't find it on your by default the task list, you can always refer to the marketplace to download them. And you can see here we have a lot of list of tasks which are available where you want to do it for the deployment purpose, or you want to do it for the configuration. You can always use your build task, the utilities like bash script, command line, and everything. So as I said, the replace tokens is more of, you can use it in your configuration file itself, where you are saying what should be the target file pattern it should look like, and you can also choose, because I'm looking for the web.config, so I'm just using the string like star.config, so that it will always look for any files with an extension of .config. And like you can provide the pattern to search for the within that web.config file. You will be having the connection string. You can provide with the like a token like the regular expression you can provide, so that it will automatically find, and what is the you know, like what value you need to revert, you can always provide it in your replace token section out here. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. All right, so how do we use the velocity chart, and what is the main purpose? Well, question Nightly. So the question, like you can always refer to the velocity chart. The reason here is you can get to know that what is your forecast for the next sprint is what you can calculate based on the velocity chart. Okay, so if I just go back to the demo at the, if I just go back to the like backlog item, you can see this is the velocity graph where you have, and I've been managing from sprint 5, 6, 7 and all. Like you can look at the sprint cycle. So this is calculated based on your number of efforts or the complexity of your work, and you can easily manage saying that, okay, how many sprints, how many worth of efforts I've completed in the current sprint, and what is my forecast looks like for the next sprint to plan. You can see here in my sprint 8, I have completed 16 items or 16 worth of efforts, and similarly in sprint 19, I could calculate for the 19th one, and out of which one is the task is defined. That's why it's flying at the remaining work is in blue color. And the sprint 10, I've calculated on number of efforts is like 26, and so on. Like you can easily, the advantage of having this velocity graph is to, forecast for your next sprint how many number of requirements and the efforts you can complete them. Okay. I think we are running out of time, and if you have any more questions, you can post it on the window. We can try to answer offline as well. We'll share it with you, and we'll also share you we'll also have the recording shared across, and the supported reference links also will be shared, so that you can also have a self-learning on your side. And if you have any queries, you can always reach out to us. Okay. Pandey, I have a question. Can you showcase on the deployment rollback too? Unfortunately, I may not be able to demonstrate you, but you have a task where you can also specify, for example, as a rollback strategy. So you can say that, and there was another question to generate the transformation. You can also use this generate web.config and transformation also. And you can also set that, you can also say if, for example, okay, so you can say that the rollback strategy, if the previous task has failed unless the deployment was cancelled, like you can set these conditions so that after what happens, like if the previous step fails, you can also have a related task to define. It will take care of the rollback strategy. Like you can go and define the number of tasks on the next side. For example, if the previous deployment fails, you can use this particular task to run, or else the other way is as a manual way, where you can also, because every releases have their own release version, you can also go and redeploy your application like the previous release of that particular pipeline. All right. So the last question is like, can the pipeline be integrated with the test automation? Yes, you can include as part of your pipeline, you can include the test automation. For example, if you have a Selenium script or you want to run any unit test cases as part of the build, you can also include, or if you want to run any kind of performance and load testing, so you can go and integrate as part of the task within the pipeline itself. That is pretty much possible. So last one is like, you can just go and specify the tasks, and you can define in the testing section. So you can use all the test related activities. And as I said, if you want to run any kind of a scripts and all, out of the box, we also have the PowerShell script, Bash script, everything is out of the box supported, and you can always use them to execute them as well. All right, so thank you. So let me just back my slide as we are done with the questions. Okay, so few study links, I would like to share it right away. Like these are the, like you can go and look into for your self-learning. We also have the website azure.com/devops. You can look into it, and the Twitter handle and the blog forum and everything. And you can always get in touch with us, as Mitala was mentioning about the address, and you can always reach out to our URL as well. You can look into our website for further information if you require. I hope the session was helpful for you all. So thank you. Thanks for participating in today's webinar. Okay, so thank you all. Thanks for attending. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.